Exposed, the spine-chilling tale of the cursed Haciendera who discovered a sinister baby. Aswang. Maria had always been a fighter, but moving to the outskirts of Wicker Park felt like stepping onto the battlefield without ammunition. The old house they rented creaked like a gnarled skeleton, and the shadows twisted in ways that made her heart race. It was the kind of place where secrets whispered louder than the wind, where the stillness after dusk bore a weight of its own. As she settled into eerie silence, Maria began to understand this home wasn't just old, it was haunted. In the first few evenings, the flickering street lamps offered little comfort, casting anxious shadows that flickered across their yard. Leo would venture outside, chasing after the dim light, but Maria felt an unsettling chill in the air, as if the neighborhood itself recoiled against their presence. The neighbors, cloaked in silence, watched from their windows, eyes glinting like cold stones. It was a relief when the sun rose, its bright rays cutting through the shadows. But when night returned, so did the tension. "Mom! Come look!" Leo's exhilarated voice broke through Maria's anxious thoughts one day. His imagination painted the area as an adventure awaiting discovery, oblivious to the creeping dread building in her chest. He pointed at children playing on the streets, gleeful laughter echoing only for the cheer to swiftly dissipate into the night. When the sun dipped below the horizon, the only sounds were rustling leaves and the morbid silence of retreating figures. Determined to carve a home from the chaos, Maria braved the basement one evening. The flickering bulb cast a ghostly glow over discarded relics, torn toys, battered furniture, and dust-laden photographs. As she stumbled across an exquisite portrait of a baby, the eyes seemed to follow her, piercing into her very soul. Next to it lay a crumpled note, detailing the ominous Haciendera, an entity wrapped in the folklore of doom, warning anyone daring enough to uncover its truth. Terror clawed at her insides as Leo began to change. He spoke of soft whispers in the shadows, frantic eyes darting around corners. Night terrors consumed him, envisioning the baby from the portrait beckoning him to come closer. Each drawing he created became haunting, a child's innocent imagination twisted into something malignant. With every night that passed, Maria's heart raced faster. She lay awake in the grip of dread, holding her breath, straining against the paranoia that enveloped their home. Her protective instincts were sharper than ever, but something dark was brewing outside, her neighbors gathering in hushed tones under the cloak of darkness. She could feel their glares piercing through her as she walked into town, a collective silence that urged her to question her safety. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days passed in restless fear. Local authorities dismissed her tales, too caught up in their corruption to listen. With a racing heart, Maria knew something had to be done. She took Leo by the hand, pulling him into the dimly lit street, the air thickening with tension. Just as she braced herself to confront the very darkness looming nearby, a neighbor stepped forward, a shadow she had seen lurking but had never approached. "You should have stayed away, Maria. He's already chosen." The words fell like a hammer, crashing onto her fragile sanity, an ominous declaration that threatened to rupture the thin veil of safety she had desperately clung to. The weight of her decision pressed down on her chest as she realized the true danger that loomed over them, one she could no longer ignore. In that moment, the curse of the Haciendera hovered dangerously close, tightening its grip on her family. What could she do now? What hope lay ahead when night fell? Cold dread settled in Maria's bones as she stared into the neighbor's hollow eyes. Silence stretched like a taut string, ready to snap at any moment. She felt as if the very air around her thickened, each breath becoming a laborious task. "What do you mean?" Her voice came out as a whisper, barely breaking the tension. The neighbor stepped closer, a thin smile curling on her lips, but it was devoid of warmth. "Children like him, they're special. And this place isn't forgiving. Maria felt a jolt of adrenaline, every instinct screamed to flee. But she couldn't abandon Leo, not now. Come on, Leo. Let us go inside. She tugged at his hand, urgency pumping through her veins. But he hesitated, staring at the looming figure with an expression that flickered from curiosity to fear. The woman's voice dripped with honeyed malice. Running won't help. The Haciendera doesn't like being ignored. It's only a matter of time. Every word slashed through Maria's intellect, igniting her fears. Had Leo already become a target? The tales of the Haciendera buzzed in her mind like relentless hornets. What if this curse she had read about was more than folklore? Shattered whispers echoed back to her from the dark corners of the house where Leo would draw, the baby's haunting face dominating his art, creeping into her every thought. Rushing into the house, the door slammed shut behind them as if to block out the shuddering darkness outside. She grabbed Leo tightly, pulling him into the living room. The heaviness of the air felt like a leaden blanket against her skin. The shadows seemed to dance around them, alive and sinister. Mom? What's wrong? Leo's tiny voice broke through her whirlwind of thoughts. He looked up at her, innocent and trusting, but all she could see was the chilling change in him. Dark rings shadowed his sleepy eyes, once bright with vitality now dulled by a terror she couldn't fathom. The weight of the portrait hung heavily in her mind. She forced a smile. Nothing, sweetheart. Everything's fine. In the back of her mind, doubt flared. She needed help, something solid to ground her in this failing world. She heard rumors of the old woman who lived on the edge of town, a supposed witch with knowledge of the Haciendera. Maria's heart raced as she considered the dangers but dismissed it. Desperation made strange allies, her resolve crystallized. Leo, I'm going to go find someone who can help us. The decision fell like an anchor in her gut, solid yet heavy. But Leo clutched her hand tighter. No, Mom. They don't like it when you go out. It's the lady in the picture, she gets angry. The realization hit like venom coursing through her veins. How could a child comprehend the fears that gripped her? Leo, I need you to trust me. She softened her grip, kneeling to meet his gaze. I won't let anything happen to you. He nodded slowly, his eyes swimming with unshed tears. Night closed in again as Maria braved the route towards the edge of town. Each step felt like walking through treacle, heavy and thick. The wind howled, shrill whispers creeping through the trees, words she couldn't decipher, yet the tone was clear and predatory. Shadows loomed from every angle, lifting and folding over one another as if aware of her presence. Finally, the old woman's house came into view, a crooked silhouette standing defiantly against the moonlight. Maria's heart thumped in hesitation. Is this really wise? With a deep breath, she approached the door, knocking softly. She could hear the creaking of wood inside, the shuffle of feet. Before she could retreat, the door swung open, revealing the old woman. Her eyes were wide, swirling with knowing and mischief, flashing like quicksilver. You're not supposed to be here. The woman's voice sounded like crackling leaves, alive with secrets. What do you know about the Haciendera? Maria managed to stammer, fear and focus merging into urgency. The old woman's gaze sharpened, piercing through to Maria's very core. Everything and nothing. But you must leave before it's too late. Maria's blood ran cold. The warning settled heavy upon her heart. The night suddenly felt denser, the shadows deepening. What had she awakened? The wind howled louder, the darkness spilling over like ink. Maria felt the cold grip of fear around her throat. She turned to run, but a darkness surged behind her, coiling closer. What would she find back at home? Maria's breath quickened as the shadows lunged forward, hungry and relentless. An icy chill skittered along her spine, pulling her deeper into the night's sinister embrace. She turned and sprinted, her heart racing in time with her pounding feet. The path she had taken earlier now felt like a labyrinth, twisting and turning, every glance over her shoulder revealing only the oppressive blackness behind her. The old woman's warning echoed in her mind like a desperate alarm. Must leave before it's too late. But where could she run? The familiar streets of her neighborhood warped under the weight of fear. The air grew cold, each gust of wind whispering her name in a cacophony of taunts. Leo's face danced before her, innocent yet somehow haunted. Was he already marked? The baby in the portrait? Why couldn't she shake the image from her mind? Could it be truly linked to the Haciendera? She pressed forward, determination flaring momentarily against the dread that threatened to overpower her. She burst through the door of her home, slamming it shut. The house felt alien, shadows lurking in every corner. The faint glow of Leo's drawings showcased the chilling figure of the baby again, a creature caught in mid-sob with its eyes wide, mouth agape like it was calling out for something or someone. Leo! She called, panic edging her voice. She was met with silence, amplifying the shadows that coiled in the corners of the room. She raced down the hallway, heart drumming wildly. She pushed open his bedroom door, the hinges creaking. His bed was empty. Leo! She cried again, her voice now strained. The atmosphere thickened, and the walls seemed to pulse, closing in around her. She turned, scanning the room for any signs, a flicker of movement, anything. The drawings scattered across the floor shone in the dim light horrible images of fear, raw and guttural. The baby, again and again, trapped in a never-ending wail. A creaking sound pulled her attention to the closet's door. It stood slightly ajar, darkness leaking out like smoke. Leo? She edged closer, dread pooling in her stomach, every instinct screaming to turn back. Summoning courage, she reached for the handle. The darkness swirled, palpable and alive, wrapping around her fingers. The moment she pulled it open, the closet yawned wide, an abyss of shadows. The breath in her chest caught as Leo's sobs broke through the stillness. Tangled in piles of clothes, he looked up at her, eyes brimming with tears. Mom, she's here. His voice trembled, pulling the world tighter around them. Who, sweetheart? Maria knelt beside him, an unshakable sense of dread brewing at the back of her mind. The lady from the picture, he whispered, pointing into the depths of the closet. Her heart sank as she followed his gaze. There, at the very edges where light dared not tread, something stirred, a shadow, taking form, echoing the haunting features from the drawings. The air thickened with a chilling anticipation, vibrating like a taut string ready to snap. Leo, we need to get out. Maria urged, pulling him to his feet. But as they turned, the air shifted, a sudden stillness hanging heavily around them. From the corner, a murmur spilled out, wrapping around Maria's legs like a living vine. The old woman's warning flickered again in her mind, but you must leave before it's too late. The weight of that truth bore down on her. The wrongness of everything threatened to consume them both. Panic surged, raw and desperate. She felt a sudden urge to flee, to protect Leo at any cost, but before she could find the way out, the shadows leapt forward, snaking toward them with a speed that made her pulse stall. She had to make a choice: face the darkness or fight. What choice would she dare make? Would they become the next victims of the Haciendera? Maria's heart raced, pounding like a war drum in her chest. The shadows twisted and writhed, pulling away from the closet's darkness. She grabbed Leo's hand, his small fingers trembling against her palm. There was no time to think, her instincts took over as she bolted back into the hallway, dragging him along through the stiff air thick with dread. Mom, we can't leave her. Leo gasped, panic lacing his voice. We have to. Maria shot back, fear slicing through her. We can't stay here. But Leo's eyes, wide and fearful, reflected something more than just terror. She's sad, Mom. We have to help her. Help her? Maria spat, disbelief coating her words. How could he not see the danger? The warning rushed back, twisting and curling around her mind. They stumbled into the living room, where the darkness hung like a heavy curtain. She felt it seep into her skin, a coldness that made her shiver. The air grew denser, the walls pressing in as shadows danced on the periphery of her vision. "Leo, listen to me," she cried, urgency lining her voice. "If the legends are true, she's a monster. We can't help her if she means to take you away." She felt the tension tighten like a noose around her throat. "But what if it's not like that?" Leo's little voice quavered, confusion lining his features. The shadows responded with a gust of wind that whipped through the house, rattling the windows. Maria instinctively shielded Leo, pulling him close. "Stand back." She swung around, fully expecting the darkness to manifest into something monstrous. Just then, a low, chilling laugh filled the air, scratching at her sanity. It reverberated from the depths of the closet, sending a shock up her spine. At that moment, the shadow wafted towards them, fluid and smooth, like smoke rising from a dying fire. An outline began to take shape, an elongated figure with hollow eyes and an unnaturally wide grin. "Help me," it murmured, the sound like ice scraping against glass. "I am lost." Maria gritted her teeth, but fear rooted her to the spot. "Leo, let us know." Leo yelled, yanking his hand free. "I want to help her." Before she could react, he dashed back towards the closet. "Wait!" Maria screamed, reaching out, but it was too late. The moment he crossed back over, the darkness encircled him like a predator closing in on its prey. "Leo!" she shrieked, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She surged forward, fear clawing at her. She couldn't lose him. But as she neared, the shadows thickened, coiling and slithering, pushing her back. "Help me!" the figure echoed again, this time closer, a bone-chilling whisper that sunk into her chest. "Don't listen to her, Leo!" Maria yelled, her voice cracking. But he stood there, entranced, his eyes locked into the void. "She needs us, Mom, she needs a friend." A searing pain twisted in Maria's stomach as the shadows seemed to pulse with rage, spilling out like a primordial tide. It was a living thing, fueled by hunger. A blossom of dread unfurled in her, blossoming into desperation. "Leo!" she pleaded again, desperate hands reaching through the darkness, fighting against the spectral barrier. "You have to come back. We can't stay here." As her heart threatened to explode, shadows around her began to dance wildly, swirling with a fury she had never seen before. But then she saw it, the terrifying embodiment of everything she feared. The lady from the picture, stepping into the light, her face a grotesque mockery of sorrow, eyes glinting with hunger. Maria's mind raced. What must she do? Time was slipping away, and Leo was lost in the abyss of choices. Between the straining tendrils of darkness and the anguished cries of an unwanted entity, fear morphed into a chilling realization. Sometimes rescuing the lost can lead you to become one of them. What would Maria choose in that moment of ultimate dread? Maria could feel the weight of the darkness pressing against her, a suffocating veil that threatened to envelop her completely. Leo's innocent plea echoed in her ears, "She needs us, Mom," but the warmth of the moment shattered with the flicker of cold, blinding fear. Behind him, the figure twisted, a visage twisted with longing and an otherworldly hunger that made every hair on her body stand on end. "No!" The word burst from her like a prayer, desperate and full of dread. "Leo! Come back to me!" But the shadows pulsed and roared as if in reply, whipping around her in a frenzy. She reached for her son, her fingers brushing the air where he stood, but it was like trying to grasp smoke. Helpless, she felt the heart-wrenching pang of despair clench her chest, a primal fear taking hold like a vice. "Leave him alone!" she shouted at the apparition, the darkness weaving its tendrils tighter around Leo. It was becoming harder to even see him through the swirling shrouds of blackness. Suddenly, the lady smiled, a ghastly grin stretching across her gaunt face, eyes gleaming like obsidian. "I am not the monster, Maria. You have to understand, he will be safe with me." The shadows folded and coiled, embodying promises of safety, as though Leo belonged there, lost in a world distinct from hers. The voice dripped with a sickly sweet charm, echoing like a taunt through her thoughts. Her mind raced. Leo. She grappled with the shadows, forcefully trying to pull him back, but their strength fed on her fear, pushing her away, squeezing her like a vice. Mom, please. Leo turned to her, eyes wide with confusion, wet with tears. I want to help her. Don't you see? She's trying to trick you. We have to leave. Maria cried, her voice breaking. She was losing him to the very horror she had tried to shield him from. The lady swayed closer, her form gliding like a soft mist, and for a moment, Maria thought she could see something warm lingering in the depths of that chilling expression, an echo of something once human. But that flicker of empathy vanished just as swiftly as it appeared. There was no humanity left in her face. Stay with me, join us, Leo. You would like a home here. Those words, softer than silk, draped over Maria like a shroud. Home. The longing echoed in her heart. Was this the true invitation for her son? A promise of something better, a connection to the lost? Leo, listen. Please. Her voice wavered, tearing through the heavy silence of the room. She could barely breathe, the tension thickening as shadows coiled around her son like a luring embrace. Come back. We'll find a way together, but not like this. But every word was a fight against a tide of despair. Each plea was swallowed by the darkness that hungered under the guise of the sad lady. Mom, I want to be brave, Leo murmured, almost to himself, eyes devoid of understanding, yet full of conflicting emotions. The figure laughed again, a low, eerie sound that resonated in the corners of the house. Bravery can take you to places you've never dreamed, dear boy. Suddenly, the lights flickered overhead, casting the room in fleeting darkness, every flash revealing tighter spirals of shadow, tongue-like wisps reaching out for them. The air trembled with an unspeakable hunger, and in that instant, Maria realized desperation was clawing for power. Feelings of dread pinched harder in her gut. As Leo stepped further into the shadows, Maria felt a crack run through her sanity. You don't have to do this, Leo. But another desperate scream echoed behind her. The only question lingering now was this: could she save him, or would she become lost along the way? With resolve tightening around her heart, she made her choice. The moment approached when courage may not be enough, not against a darkness that knew no bounds. The hourglass was emptying, but as the darkness howled around them, would she find the strength to wrest her son back from the edge? Before she could act, a surge of cold swept through, pulling her into the sea of shadows. What awaited them on the other side would either fracture their bond forever or forge an unbreakable connection through pain and terror. The cold grasp of the shadows enveloped Maria, a frigid whisper at her ears, clawing at her skin, biting deeper than mere chill. She felt Leo slip further away, a flickering light against the suffocating black swirling around them. Panic surged in her chest, pumping adrenaline like a hydraulic press. Her heart raced, thundering against the walls of her ribcage. Leo! She screamed, voice raw. No answer came, only the gurgling of shadows as they danced to their own dreadful melody. The air thickened, heavy as if the house itself were inhaling deeply, adding to the weight of her despair. Then, just like that, the shadows pulled back slightly, revealing a distorted reflection of Leo, stretched unnaturally, like a black mirror. His frightened expression wavered, uncertainty warring with a deep yearning. Mom, it feels, his voice trailed, laced with confusion. It feels good here. No. Maria shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. It's a lie. You're safe with me. Remember the games we played, the stories at bedtime? The lady's laughter echoed around them like shattering glass. You can't save him, Maria. He needs more than you can give. Here, he feels strong. With each word, the shadows swirled faster, pulling at her legs, her arms. They stung as they grazed her flesh, whispering promises of eternal joy, happiness forever lost in a never-ending grasp of darkness. She staggered, trying to ground herself, searching for any sign of solid ground. Leo! She felt her voice tremble, raw and trembling. "Look at me. We can escape this together." But the darkness had a hypnotic pull, wrapping around him like silk tendrils, soft and seductive. "You don't want to leave, Leo. You can join me here and be free." "No. That's not freedom," Maria cried, the thrum of fear tightening around her heart. She lunged forward, but the walls of shadow pushed her back, the weight of despair surging like a wave. Suddenly, the air thickened with an oppressive fear. She saw the lady's face twisting and curling, stretching into something grotesque, her skin peeling away to reveal a gaping maw brimming with darkness. "Join us, dear boy, it's a beautiful void." At that moment, Maria realized the truth: this darkness fed on emotion, on fear, on love twisted into despair. It filled the air with its sickly sweetness, intoxicating, beckoning her son like a moth to a flame. Maria felt a cold sweat break over her skin, racing through her mind, a frantic urge to grasp what was slipping through her fingers. "Leo," she whispered, voice cracking under the strain of the rising tide of shadows. "Look at me, remember the way I love you. That's real. This isn't real." For a split second, Leo looked over his shoulder, doubt clouding his eyes. "Mom, I'm scared." Her heart leaped. "Scared is okay. But we are stronger together." Then, just as quickly, the darkness surged forward, and the lady's voice poured over her like thick honey. "No one escapes. Not from me." The shadows clawed at Maria, their icy grip cutting into her resolve. She watched as Leo was dragged back, the abyss yanking him toward a wide yawning chasm. In that moment, her fear transformed to a reckless determination. She had faced monsters before, but none quite like this. Quaking with a sudden fierce defiance, she reached deep within herself, summoning every strand of courage. With a shout that pierced the darkness, she stepped forward, the shadows recoiling slightly, startled. "I will not let him go." But even as she spoke, the laughter echoed, deeper now, mocking her, weaving through the darkness. The shadows coiled once more, ready to lash out, and Maria felt the tension ratchet up tighter than ever, colder and darker than she had ever known. The next moment she faced filled her with dread. What terror lay behind the shrouded veil of darkness? Would she find her son or lose herself forever in the horror waiting on the other side? As fear wrapped around her like a vice, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were just getting started. What new horrors awaited them in this realm of shadows? The shadows shrieked around Maria, and she felt their breath, cold and oppressive, clawing into her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that every flick of darkness was watching, waiting, hungry. With her heart pounding like a trapped animal, Maria plunged into the swirling depths, desperate to reach Leo before the abyss swallowed him whole. Fingers stretched out through the darkness toward her son, her vision blurred by pooling tears and panic. The air tasted of iron, the metallic tang thick and suffocating. The edges of her perception shimmered, distorting as ethereal whispers tugged at her sanity. "Join us," they crooned. "You'll find joy. Embrace the void." "No." Maria screamed, forcing every ounce of strength into her voice. "You're lying." The darkness hesitated, just for a moment, as the shadows quivered before her fierceness. A dissonant laughing echoed, mocking, and then surged forward. They pulled at her, pulling her away not just from Leo, but from her very self, the essence of who she was. "Mom!" Leo's voice pierced through the chaos, sharp and clear. The sight of him struggling against the cocoon of shadows rekindled the fire in Maria's heart. She lunged, each movement slow motion against the pressing darkness. Every inch she took demanded a sacrificial toll. A scream choked in her throat, breath clawed out of her lungs. "Leo! Hold on!" She bellowed, the walls of darkness quaking as her fierce love broke through despair. The echoes of its laughter grew thunderous, hitting her like a bell tolling doom. The lady's figure twisted into view, grotesque and shivering, her heavy-lidded eyes reflecting a void that radiated despair. "He's mine," she hissed, a tangled smile revealing teeth sharper than knives. You can't save him from paradise. Maria's insides churned. What did she have left to fight with? She could feel the shadows reaching round her, needles of despair piercing her skin, yet deep within, she held on to a rallying cry of fury, a mother's love. No! Maria shouted again, surging forward and forcing against the coils, her body pushing closer to Leo. Feel my love, Leo. Remember the scent of the grass after a summer rain, the taste of your favorite cookies. Hold on to that, hold on to us. Leo's eyes flickered, caught in an internal battle, brilliance versus blindness, love against the siren's call of darkness. For an instant, the icy grip around him slackened. Mom? He gasped, hope flickering. Yes, Leo. She felt the shadows writhe and hiss with anger, his spark of light cutting through their black heart. Remember who you are, the brave little boy who loves adventure, who finds happiness in little things. The darkness lies. But just as she thought they were breaking through, a heavy wave of shadows slammed into her, pushing her back. She fell to her knees, pain radiating through her body. Despair is your only companion here, the lady sneered, stepping closer. Her eyes gleamed with predatory hunger as Maria struggled to rise. With every ounce of willpower, Maria gritted her teeth and pushed back against the pull, feeling tiny fractures of hope ignite within her, reminders of laughter, warmth, love. You must choose, Maria. Choose. She echoed, her breath faltering. Choose what? Your son's freedom. The darkness recoiled in a furious blast, and for a heartbeat, the air trembled. Could she truly save him? She felt emotions crashing in tumult behind her smile, a mother's love, every cherished moment, igniting a fierce willpower that surged through her veins like lightning. With a roar, she grabbed a fragment of courage from the depths of her despair and launched it into the abyss. You'll have to kill me first. She sprinted forward, this time the shadows parting like waves before a storm. In that thrilling moment, she flew through the darkness, hoping to snatch her son from its jaws. Would they embrace a reality built on love, or would the shadows prevent their reunion entirely? An opinion was forming in the dark, and Maria felt the edges of fear close tight. Behind the veil of malice, icy fingers laced around her wrist, but she wouldn't back down. In that terrifying moment, with shadows wrapping around her tightly as her heart raced, she had to ask herself one question: what price would she pay to pull Leo back into the light? With a surge of defiance, Maria charged forward, indignant against the encroaching darkness. Shadows twisted like serpent tails, eager to ensnare her. The warmth of Leo's light flickered ahead, battling against the suffocating black. She could feel the icy fingers of despair claw at her from behind, every whisper urging her to turn back, to surrender. But she pushed on, fueled by the echo of her son's voice. Mom! Don't leave me. His plea, a desperate tether, inspired her to fight harder. Each step forward felt like wading through thick mud. She gritted her teeth, focused only on that beacon of light, her heart hammering against her ribcage with each breath. Stay with me, Leo. Maria shouted, her voice piercing through the gloom. She could sense the malevolent lady, lurking and watching, her breath like frost creeping into Maria's bones. I'm coming. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if stung by her resolve. And still, the lady smirked, her presence suffocating, a reminder of the dangers that lurked in this abyss. You cannot save him. He's chosen the void, Maria. The darkness is too tempting. No! She yelled fiercely, adrenaline surging through her. The memories of sweet laughter, sunny days, and innocent adventures rushed through her mind like a flood. You're not wrong, Leo. Fight it. We can be together again. That stirring of love seemed to anchor Leo for an instant. But then the shadows clawed back at him, more insistent, more vicious, swirling hungrily around his small frame. They twisted his form, and Maria felt the terror rise within her. The darkness sensed her vulnerability while vicious laughter came from just beyond her reach. It reverberated against the cavernous walls, deepening her fear. "Mom!" Leo's cry trembled, brittle fragments of hope trapped in despair. "I feel so heavy." Understanding washed over Maria. The shadows didn't just seek to steal him away, they aimed to crush his spirit, suffocating every last flicker of hope. She couldn't let that happen. Not now and not ever. "I'm with you, Leo. You are not alone." With renewed determination, she defied the pain radiating through her limbs, dug deeper into herself, feeling a vibrant rage boil within the love of a mother. Manifesting that love felt like a glowing flame sparking to life amidst insurmountable odds. She reached with every ounce of her being as if she could pour her very essence into her words. "Remember the treehouse we built?" Maria gasped, forcing every cherished memory into her voice. "How we laughed when it nearly fell. Or the smell of fresh cookies right out of the oven. It brought us together." She felt the weight of darkness shift, the tendrils hesitating, a crack breaking through their grasp. Whispered doubts fought against her. A fleeting memory they taunted, veering toward destruction. Yet the sparks of warmth propelled her further, closer to her son. Suddenly, the lady lunged forward with predatory intent, stretching her thin fingers toward Leo, eager to snatch him away. "Stop. You're both losing," she hissed, her eyes vacant and hungry. Maria could taste the acrid scent of fear rising in her throat. She was terrified, but she stood her ground. "We won't let you win." With a guttural scream, she groped through the tangled mass of shadows, reaching out for Leo's small hand. This time she felt his warmth, a fragile bridge so easily snatched away. "I'm almost there, Leo. Just hold on." As their fingers brushed, she ignited a burst of remembrance, every smile, every hug, fueling her with unyielding strength. Just as her grip solidified, a violent ripple surged through the fabric of darkness. "No!" the lady shrieked, fury igniting in her cold eyes. Shadows twisted viciously around them, foaming with rage. Maria felt the repercussions slap her back like shards of ice. Then, an earth-shattering crack split the void in two. The dark began to churn wildly, threatening to engulf them. A choice loomed: escape with Leo or face the darkness head-on. "Mom!" What if Leo trembled, hesitancy creeping into his tone. Maria's heart squeezed. Would they risk diving deeper into this treacherous abyss, or could they escape? The shadows surged like a tidal wave, and the weight of the question hung thick in the air. What would they become if they crossed that line? "Leo, trust in love," she shouted against the growing chaos. "Whatever the cost, I'll never leave you." Darkness roared louder, and the fabric between reality and despair began to shred. As shadows threatened to engulf them both, Maria could only wonder what awaited them on either side of the void. With a sudden jolt, the ground beneath them convulsed violently. Maria felt her grip on Leo falter as the shadows writhed and screamed, desperate to reclaim their prey. Their fingers slipped apart, and in that instant, a freezing wave rushed between them. The darkness boiled, a tempest of agony and anguish, deepening the void separating mother from son. "Mom! No!" Leo's voice echoed around her, distorted and haunting, mingling with the shadows. It was a cacophony of fear layered with desperation, clawing at her sanity. She reached out again, but the abyss pulsated like a living creature, thrumming with sinister intent. Maria felt the pull of the dark, a seductive whisper promising freedom from pain, urging her to give in. But the fury, the darkness, it could not be allowed to win. "I'm coming for you," she bellowed against the malice swirling around her. Each scream wrestled against her own panic, rising in her throat. Suddenly, the lady appeared again, cloaked in darkness, her eyes like twin voids. "The boy is lost," she hissed, her voice laced with malice. "Leave him to fate." "Never." Maria shot back, her heart drumming with the adrenaline of battle. She remembered the laughter, the warmth, the unconditional love. She would not let this monster take her son. With that thought burning bright, she pushed forward, forcing herself deeper into the swirling mass, the shadows gripping at her ankles, pulling her back. As she pressed on, she tried to summon the memories that had fueled her before. Yet now they felt dulled, distant, and the darkness around her filled the gaps with despair. Murky tendrils coiled around her, icy and heavy, whispering cursed promises of solace. "Your love is futile." The lady cackled, a wicked grin splitting her face. "He will drown in sorrow." With every step, Maria felt as though she was fighting against a tide of lead, but the call of Leo remained strong, anchoring her. Momentary flashes of his bright smile fueled her spirit, a spark igniting amidst the engulfing dread. "You're stronger than this," she shouted into the abyss. "We are stronger." The shadows recoiled slightly, battered by the resilience in her voice. But the lady was no simple foe. She conjured an image of Leo, his face pale and whispering, "Mom, help me." It racked Maria's heart with an intensity so profound that it nearly brought her to her knees. "That's not you," she screamed defiantly, shaking her head, forcing herself to the edge of the darkness. "Come back to me, Leo." The void responded with a low growl, shifting and expanding in rage. The voices of despair crescendoed, an orchestra of defeat, and for a moment, Maria stumbled back as if struck. But the love she felt for her son steadied her. Just then, the shadows parted, revealing a fractured pathway ahead, a glimmer of light, a chance to bridge the widening chasm. Without hesitation, Maria surged forward, ignoring the pain radiating through her body, focusing on that thin beam of hope. "Leo!" she cried out, the sound of her voice breaking through the oppressive despair surrounding them. "I see you, Mom," he cried back, his voice breaking like a fragile twig, laced with hope, yet tinged with fear. "Yet darkness wouldn't relent." From the frayed edges of the void, the lady's voice roared like thunder, "You cannot escape me. You have fed me too long." The shadows whipped and writhed, snatching at Maria with a ferocity that stole her breath. As she stumbled forward, the ground lurched beneath her. The thread holding reality taut began to fray, the space around her shifting. Just as she reached the entrance of that shimmering light, a powerful gust of darkness struck her, sending her sprawling in the chaos. A deafening silence enveloped her, and for a heartbeat, Maria was suspended between worlds. The familiar warmth of Leo's light flickered precariously ahead, illuminated only by the remnants of her love. They had to reconnect, but was there time? The shadows surged again, ready to claim her. "What will you sacrifice?" the lady's mocking whisper taunted throughout the air. Fear lanced through Maria once more, reshaping her resolve. In the heart of despair lay a truth too magnificent to ignore. What if the greatest weapon against darkness was the very sacrifice she feared? Would she dare take that leap? Would she willingly cast herself into danger to break its hold over her son? As shadows raced toward her, they threatened to consume her. Would she step into the abyss, shrouded in uncertainty? Or could love and sacrifice rewrite their fates? In that breathless moment, she surged forward, ready to confront the unknown. Maria's body quaked with desperation. The darkness around her tightened, slick and suffocating, but she had made her choice. She would not stand by as her son slipped into oblivion. "Leo!" she bellowed, surging through the chaos. "Don't listen to her. Remember our stories. Remember our love." Each word was a lifeline thrown into a turbulent sea, struggling against the current trying to drown them both. The shadows recoiled, hissing like snakes, as Maria pushed forward. The wicked laughter of the lady slashed through the air, but faintly, she could hear Leo's reply, his voice faltering but still there, still anchored to her. "Mom, I'm scared. Just hold on. I'm coming." The shrill laughter of the lady echoed around, wrapping around her mind like chains. It urged her to surrender, but Maria's heart burned hotter. Memories flooded back, a bright summer day when they had run through the sprinklers, laughter bursting forth like the water itself. Feel the sun on your skin, Leo. Remember that moment. Her voice hung heavy in the air, each memory a stepping stone back to her son. Just then, the figure of the lady materialized, each feature twisted by malice, eyes gleaming like voids. You cannot save him. She shrieked, a cruel mockery of hope that clawed at Maria's resolve. No. I won't let you take him. With raw courage fueling her, Maria pushed through the tendrils of darkness that lashed against her, pain igniting deep inside her chest. She welcomed it, knowing it meant she was alive. Come to me, Leo. We can fight this together. Her cry rang with determination, a stark contrast against the chaos swirling at their feet. She could see him now, his small form still battling against the shadowy arms that sought to pull him deeper into their grip. Mom. Leo's voice fluttered like a dying ember. Help me find my way back. The hunger in the abyss raged, snarled, whispering promises that sought to seduce and lure him further away. Come, little boy, find comfort in my embrace, the woman cooed, stretching her arms. Her grin widened, revealing sharp, jagged teeth. No. Maria roared, channeling every ounce of her love into her voice. That's not real. Look for what you know to be true, Leo. Look for me. Moments stretched into eternity as she reached blindly for Leo, their paths intertwining in a desperate dance. The darkness howled, resisting her resolve, and just like that, a flicker of light sparked against the void, the promise of a bond unbroken. That's right. I'm right here. She shouted, chasing back the insidious whispers that sought to drown her heart in despair. You belong with me, with love, not this lie. With sudden resolve, Leo's eyes cleared, allowing hope to seep back. Mom, grab my hand. He reached forth, small fingers shaking but unyielding. Together, their hands touched, a perfect fit that cast a brilliant glow through the suffocating shadows. An explosion of warmth surged through Maria, igniting the bond they shared, a light against the encroaching dark, and in that moment, the shadows recoiled as if burned by their connection, scrambling backward, undone by love's raw power. The sinister lady screamed, the sound a whirlwind of rage and hopelessness that pierced through the night. You think you can win? I will always come for him. The words boiled with venom, wrapping around Maria's heart, but she pressed on. She would not yield. Let me show you what love can do. Maria screamed back, pouring every ounce of her faith into their swelling light. It surged like a tide, washing over the darkness, unraveling its sinister knots, forcing the shadows to cower and retreat. Hand in hand with her son, they surged forward, breaking through the layers of despair. With each step, she felt the truth of their bond resonating like a pulsing heartbeat. The shadows screamed one final time before tearing apart into smoky fragments, disintegrating as the light closed in. And just like that, a blinding burst of warmth enveloped them, pulling Maria and Leo into a world where darkness dared not linger. They fell onto soft grass that smelled of sweet earth, laughter spilling from their lips as they looked at each other. We did it, Mom! Leo exclaimed, joy sparkling in his eyes. Together, Maria breathed, tears streaming down her cheeks. She pulled him close, wrapping her arms around him in a fierce embrace. Always together. As the moon hung bright above them, casting a gentle glow, they realized the shadows could not defeat them, not as long as they stood united beneath the shelter of their love. Together, they would create new tales filled with light as the past faded into whispers of caution. With that, they began to walk forward. The dark would always exist, but it couldn't touch the bond they shared. They were free. Maria turned, glancing back at the now empty shadows before stepping onto a path marked by resilience and hope. Let us make every moment count, she whispered, knowing that they would tell their story over and over together forever against whatever darkness might come. Now, if you want to keep being part of more incredible stories like this one, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second. Smash that like button and help the algorithm spread this tale far and wide. Flood the comments with your thoughts and reactions. I'm dying to know what you think. And share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to witness this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support.